What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the MIDICHLORIAN MAFIA. I'm your host, Master Skywalker. He is your host. He is your. Wait, I hate cameras. Yeah, him. He's your host, Qui-Gon Jimenez. What's going on, my man?
Yeah, what's cool? What's happening, man?
A lot of stuff's happening, man. It's just crazy. Like, you get new Star Wars news every day now. Remember back in the day when it was like every couple years you might hear something?
Yeah, and then you had to read it in magazines because we didn't have cell phones like back in the day. So any kind of Star Wars news, you had to go to your local Barnes and Noble and pick up some damn magazine or something.
Yeah, Star Wars Insider. I didn't have to go to Barnes and Noble because I was a subscriber. Nerd alert. But yeah, no, there's a bunch of stuff going on. So we're going to cover the news first. But first of all, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I understand a lot of people are watching this from Facebook and all that. But pretty soon, we're not going to be broadcasting from Facebook. We're going to be doing this exclusively through the YouTube channel. So if you want to get, content, you're going to have to go to the YouTube channel because unfortunately, Facebook it's not a really lucrative platform for this type of thing. So, but we're improving. We're getting stuff done. We're still kind of in our beta stage of this whole thing. A little bit of a test run, but we're doing it. We're doing it up.
We're doing it, damn it.
We're doing the damn thing. So, yeah, we're going to start out today. We got some news. A lot of different, nothing huge. Well, there's one big, huge thing that we're going to talk about, but we'll get to that last. So let me look at what we got here. First of all, The Mandalorian Season 2 has been nominated for a Golden Globe.
Oh, wow.
You ever think you would hear that? A Golden Globe and Star Wars in the same sentence?
No. As a matter of fact, those Lord of the Ring fans always give us a hard time about that.
Oh, don't get me started on them.
Yeah, don't get me started either.
The 3 movies about walking, and they want to give us it's like my man, what's his name said, Randall from Clerks.
Randall from God.
You know what I mean? There's only one return, and it ain't of the king; it's of the Jedi.
The look on his face too, man. He was just, oh man, these damn nerds, man. I gotta put them in their damn place, So he went off. It was hilarious.
He said it best, man. Even the trees walked in those movies. That's a funny story. It's I remember that came out around 2000, late 2001, early 2002, something like that. And I remember the theater being just packed on the first day, and I went. And it wasn't for Lord of the Rings. They were showing the new trailer for Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Yeah. And I went in, I watched the trailer, stayed around for I stayed around until the scene where the wizards were fighting and it looked like it was like a breakdancing battle. He's like on the ground, trying to do a windmill. And I'm like, yo, this is ridiculous. I gotta go. I couldn't do it. It was just boring.
I love all those movies, man. Those movies. There's always some sort of Star Wars reference in them or something, man. That's why I love them so much.
Are you talking about Clerks?
Yeah, Clerks, or even the Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. Those movies.
Yeah, you got Mark Hamill in that joint. Kevin's a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
He's actually he gets up at some of those panels at like Star Wars Celebration and Comic-Con, and he shares some of his stories, and they're really dope. Kevin Smith's dope. I like him. But yeah, no, I didn't stay around for Lord of the Rings. I left because it was boring. And then the few times after that I watched it or, would catch glimpses of it, Elijah Wood was always on his back staring up at the sky like he's about to die.
Yeah. That movie, it just didn't appeal to me, man. I don't know what the big deal was. The guy that shoots the arrows, whatever his name is, man, Legoland or Legolas, whatever the hell his name is. Yeah, I guess he's kind of cool, but for the most part, man, what the hell? There's really nothing that blows me away in that movie at all.
Ever. Yeah, I'm not never been a Lord of the Rings fan. Can't get into it.
Yeah, that's the one thing I do not collect, man. I collect every other, anything Star Wars related or superheroes, but yeah, I just toss those. There's no way I'm going to spend money on that crap, man.
I really don't get nerdy over anything else, other than Star Wars. Like, I just remember as a kid, it just became like an obsession. And when you're a kid who grows up in like, kind of a bad, dysfunctional household, a broken home, and you got a bad neighborhood outside, you got to find something to do with yourself and consume, So it was music, and then there was Star Wars. It just took me away from everything. And the cool thing about Star Wars, and I can't stress it enough, is like every single character you see in one frame of film has a story, whether it be an extra, a droid, and that's what made it so special. But one of the things that made it so special, it's also, the places George Lucas took us to. But Lord of the Rings, no. It's like, I don't really have much desire to go to New Zealand. It'd be cool one day.
You don't want to make that Mecca trip out there?
No.
To see that?
No. I'll come to New Mexico and hang out with you before I, you know what I mean?
For you see Frodo's little place out there in New Zealand. That's where it's at, right?
I think so, yeah. I think, dude, you and me could just drive for 30 minutes and out of Albuquerque or something and just be in Tatooine and be like, hey, we're here. You know what I mean? Beggars Canyon.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I'd rather watch Clash of the Titans, the first one and the second one, back to back, instead of watching a Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah, I would rather sit through a small business seminar than to watch one. Like, come on, man. It is ridiculous. I'll go to the vagina monologues before I watch. You know what I mean? Straight up. I mean, if you really think about it, like every time you see Frodo, it is the vagina monologues. He's like on his back, looking like he's gonna die, and somebody's always got to come save him. You know what I mean?
Those little haircuts that they all had those little haircuts. Yeah, it was just annoying, man, as hell, dude. I couldn't get into that.
Yeah. Ask anybody, man. Next time you go on a hike, ask all your Facebook followers if they want you to film it and just talk about it the whole time. That's what Lord of the Rings would be. Go take if you get a divorce, here's what you do. Here's how you make a better movie than Lord of the Rings. If you get a divorce, okay, go to Naples and go, to that volcano out there and just film yourself hiking to it to throw your wedding ring into the volcano. That would be a lot more interesting than Lord of the Rings.
It's a Pompeii, into Vesuvius or whatever the thing's called, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't care how busy we get. I'm seeing that volcano. Sopranos.
Santi right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But no, like I'm dead serious. We got a few viewers. If you guys are Lord of the Rings fans, I'm not sorry.
I'm not apologizing.
You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm not sorry. But if you got a good argument, go ahead and throw it in the comment stream. And now, if you're watching from Facebook, I've been noticing that we can't really see the comments here in StreamYard from Facebook, so I don't get to see them until afterwards. And so if you want to comment, come over to YouTube and we can chat with you live. It's not a big deal. But yeah, so anyway, Star Wars, The Mandalorian, nominated for Golden Globes. I don't know how many. I don't really care because award shows are biased. If award shows weren't biased, George Lucas would have Oscars because... Star Wars has literally changed the face of movie making 6 times over.
Yeah, it's the first blockbuster and the first set of movies that were filmed that way. As far as the trilogy, nothing's ever been done like that before. And then Star Wars was the first.
Well, if you look at it, like Star Wars, A New Hope, just officially, like, it changed everything. It changed the way people looked at movies, and it changed what people wanted to see. It changed the face of Hollywood. Then Empire comes out, and
forget about it, man.
It's probably, arguably probably one of the best Star Wars movies ever. A lot of people favor that one, which is fine because it's a great movie. But it was also the first sequel to do numbers like that. You know, you had The Godfather Part 2, and it was successful. But I think, if I'm right, Empire outdid A New Hope in numbers, and it was a better movie. I mean,
hands down a better movie. I'm 46 years old, man, and I still to this day get excited like a little boy when Vader walks up to all those bounty hunters. There's like Dangar and Bosk and all those guys, Boba Fett, all lined up. Yeah, I just like that is one of my favorite scenes ever. And to this day, man, I still get excited.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. It's like,
yeah.
Or even just little scenes of like, you know, Zog, who's supposed to be on the show. I don't know when he's going to be on the show, but I'm just going to quit addressing it and then maybe he'll come on. But his favorite scene, and then now when he broke it down to me, it's actually one of my favorite scenes, is just the chase through the asteroid field with the Millennium Falcon. The music, everything is just perfect. You know what I mean?
Cloud City, all that, everything. I mean, that movie, I just love everything about it. Even Dagobah, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, dude, Dagobah is probably one of the most complex giant sets ever made on a soundstage.
You know, not to get off track, Donnie, but you know, that's why in those new movies, I can't even get into it, man. But you know what? I wanted to see Luke in an environment like that.
Yeah,
I wanted him to be mysterious and like a badass and show his powers off, but we didn't get any of that.
Yeah, talk about it, man. That's what we're here to do. That's why we're the MIDICHLORIAN Mafia and not the Mouse Mafia. Okay, we're George Lucas loyalists here. We can talk about what we want to talk about. Disney, sorry, you ain't safe here.
No, hell no.
This is MIDICHLORIAN Mafia, aka the Mousetrap. You know, no, I agree 100%. And you know what's crazy is George Lucas had concept art for his version of Episode 7, and Luke was in exile for a completely different reason than what he was in the Disney version. Yeah. It was actually a lot better. He got so powerful that he ended up, people got hurt because he unleashed his powers basically. So he went to go meditate on it at the first Jedi Temple, which was initially on Tython. And I know we see Tython in The Mandalorian, but let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, that is not Tython. I have been to Tython myself as a Star Wars video gamer, and that is not Tython. But George Lucas's concept art for Episode 7 and the first Jedi Temple where Luke was hanging out, like 45 minutes into the movie, not at the end of the first movie. It was beautiful, man. It was beautiful. George Lucas just does that, though. He has this like amazing visual conception of what places and areas are supposed to be like and what they're supposed to look like. He even writes languages for the different planets. I mean, come on, man. The guy's a genius. But I agree with you. No, Dagobah was when you sit there and think about how complex and realistic that set was, insane. And then if you fast forward, people get so mad about the special editions and the digital additions to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it. I love every single. So if you look at, I understand most people were mad about the whole Jabba the Hutt scene in A New Hope because initially it looked bad. Digital technology was still young, but they fixed it. They've gone back and fixed it. It looks amazing. But to me, it was just so dope to see a scene that we had never seen before as Star Wars fans for 20 plus years when that came out in 97. And to see Han Solo step on a crime lord's tail.
I was just gonna say they added the cheesy factor in it, man, when Han steps on the tail. It's like, oh god, why they got to do that? But you know what? I enjoy anything that comes out, man. Anything Star Wars related is good. Except for the new movies. It's gonna be.
People can look at that. They can look at that cheesy. You know what I see? I see a dude that's not scared of nobody. Jabba the Hutt is the biggest crime boss in the Outer Rim territories, and if I guarantee you, dude, I guarantee you, nobody's gonna go step on Vito Corleone's coattails. You know what I mean? Because But Han Solo doesn't care. He fears nothing. So I love that scene. I loved getting another scene. But if you fast forward to Empire Strikes Back and you get to see Bespin, Cloud City through windows. Now, I don't know if you remember, but in the original version, it was very claustrophobic. You couldn't see out the windows.
Yeah, they cleaned them up quite a bit.
Yeah, they added life to the city, basically. So
yeah, just that entire Cloud City in general. Once they cleaned it up again, I mean, it just like it was unbelievable. But just even the scene too, where the doors open and Vader's there and Han. It's the first time we've really seen Han like use his weapon like that, and I mean, he's usually shooting at stormtroopers, but he's all over the place. But this time, like he aimed and had his blaster pistol, like he looked badass. But and Vader just blocking everything, and that to me was an amazing scene. I love that. I love it. Yeah.
So, in defense of the special editions, I challenge you to go back and watch the originals without all the extras and the digital technology and all that. I challenge you to do that and then watch with an open mind. Don't just go in with your stupid little nerdy, oh, I hate digital technology because I'm a nerd and I get to sound cool. Like, no. Go back and watch it. Really assess it. And if you're a Star Wars fan and not just a nerd, you're going to appreciate all that George Lucas did to add to it. So with that said, let's get on to more news. Yeah, I told you, nobody's safe here. I'll go with anybody. I don't care. These nerds need to be put in their place sometimes. George Lucas, man, it's ridiculous. So yeah, Golden Globes for The Mandalorian. Congratulations to Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni. If anybody deserves that kind of recognition, it's Dave Filoni.
Yeah, Filoni definitely does, man.
People are giving too much credit to Jon Favreau, though. It's like, yeah, it's Jon Favreau, whatever. Yeah. Dave Filoni is the guy behind the story, and the story is what we really care about.
Yeah, and as you watch the stories that he took, that he was had a part in, I mean, it's just his name's all over him. You can just tell immediately just by the episodes that he directed and stuff. And so yeah, I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah. And speaking of Jon Favreau, though, and we're in the news segment, the next news is it has been announced that Jon Favreau will not be involved in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus. Now, that could be a good thing or that could be a bad thing. But, you got Ewan McGregor back. You got Hayden Christensen back. You better do this right. Treat Obi-Wan with some damn respect.
Yeah, he deserves it.
You know what I mean? Especially Ewan McGregor, man. Ewan McGregor brought so much life to that character, man. Like, he was just the old guy when we were growing up. He was the old wizard that, you expect him to be powerful with the Force, but it's not like, you never looked at Obi-Wan like, oh, I bet he can whoop some ass with a lightsaber. Because, it took him 10 minutes to do one spin fighting Vader. And Ewan McGregor really added to the whole character. I mean, kids,
just his ability with his like lightsaber techniques, the way he looked like a professional out there, man. He was unbelievable. And that's something that we hadn't seen. I mean, any Jedi action back in the day was just kind of basic. I mean, granted, Return of the Jedi, I mean, Luke was, flipping around and doing his thing, but this was like the way they fought, like against Darth Maul. That sticks in my head no matter what. It was one of the best. That whole scene there was just unbelievul.
Yeah,
kids. I'm glad he's coming back, man.
Luke Skywalker to Obi-Wan. They weren't. I want to be Luke anymore. It was I want to be Obi-Wan after episode 1 came out. So they got to do that. They got to treat the characters right. And I mean, they really got to. You got to understand this is taking place in between that 20-year gap between episode 3 and 4. So nobody ever thought there was much of a story there because, Obi-Wan's supposed to be hanging out on Tatooine the whole time.
Yeah.
But my opinion is if they're going to go anywhere with it, I think Obi-Wan's going to have to get off planet a few times. Like maybe somebody gets too close, like Inquisitors or whatever. They get too close and he has to lead them away from the planet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like kind of make it a thing to where he can't ever be physically seen, which would be an interesting way to go about it.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? Basically, so anytime somebody working for the Empire comes across him, he's gonna have to kill him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm curious to see now. This is all taking place as Obi-Wan as right after Clone Wars. Correct? Am I correct on that, or
right after Revenge? The
I
Clone.
mean, Sith. I mean, yeah. So that's gonna take after that. So basically we get to see. Man, I'm dying to see that. I hope they do it justice, man. That's a huge story right there, especially for me. You know, I mean, I was just a little boy when these movies came out, and they played such a big part of my life, bro. And I just hope to finally see them on. I would like to see Boba Fett again. You know, dude, I'm not lying to you, bro. Those are big moments for me, man.
Oh yeah, of course. Any real Star Wars fan, it's going to be a huge moment for it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, all the scenes in The Mandalorian season 2. I don't even count season 1 because it just wasn't that good. But everything about season 2 that got me excited had absolutely nothing to do with the main character.
Right? The Tusken Raiders, to me, that was probably my favorite episode. I can't begin to tell you how much I enjoyed watching them in their environment and you know, whatever they were drinking. I mean, they were just badass. That was a badass character. And you're right about that though, man. It's like things that didn't even have to do with that, right?
Yeah, it literally, there's nothing interesting about the main character. Not one thing. Apparently, like, I guess they decided to make the Boba Fett series a spinoff, and they're going to continue the story of the Din Djarin or whatever his name is. Trust me, man. If it's just about him, I'm not watching it. I don't care about him. Like, there's nothing interesting about his character. Nothing.
About Boba Fett? You're not a big Boba Fett guy, huh?
No, not Boba Fett. The guy in the main character in The Mandalorian.
Oh, I thought you were talking about him. Oh, okay.
Nah, man.
I thought I heard you say Boba Fett.
Yeah, watch your mouth, man. I love Boba. No, the main character in The Mandalorian, apparently they're going to continue that story, but it's like, for what? There isn't a story there.
Yeah, what else do they have to do?
Yeah, really. Like, unless you're bringing, you know, Luke into the mix, which I think they need to be careful about doing. You can't flood the market with Luke Skywalker, especially if you're doing him digitally, you know, altered to look younger and all that. You got to give us little tidbits. We saw what happened. You know, Disney clearly doesn't care about the legacy. They just want to bring their own thing in. So no, like when it comes to, I guarantee you, I'm going to make a prediction here. They got shows coming out about the guy from Rogue One, Diego Luna's character. They got a series, you know, they're going to continue the Mandalorian series. And those 2 series right there, I guarantee you they might have 1 season in them. Mandalorian, maybe 1 season left. The Diego Luna one, maybe a season. I don't have a lot of interest in that.
But like they're also coming out with Rogue Squadron as well, which the director of and producer whatever of Wonder Woman, what's her name, Patty Blake or something? I can't remember her name. But
yeah, let's direct it to make it PC. But yeah.
So you know, I don't know. I the only reason is because I love that. It's one of my favorite games of all time. So yeah, I'll probably end up watching that too. But as far as that Diego Luna spinoff, I have absolutely no interest in watching that crap, man. They can come up with better stories.
Be honest though. How interested are you going to be in an entire series about X-Wings?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they'll have some cool X-Wing pilots or something and battle scenes. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, but how, like, and that's my next question. How, like, watching Return of the Jedi, you weren't like, oh, I need to get back to this space battle. You didn't care about that. You wanted to know what was going on between Luke and Vader. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't see it's just not that interesting to me. Like, space battles are cool, but I don't see it being interesting. It's how how long can you put us in the cockpit of an X-wing before we get bored? I used to get mad about that shit.
There was a video game, and it had a TIE fighter pilot who was in the scene, and then an X-wing pilot was, they went through this whole battle scene in space. Make a long story short, bro, he had his fleet ends up going into hyperspace, and he's by himself, and then this X-wing pilot's going after him. They end up in some planet, and just the whole. I'm not gonna lie to you, I watched all 20 minutes of it, dude. I thought it was badass, man. But like I said, a lot of people. I get what you're saying. A lot of people just aren't into the space battles. But I've always been big on the ships. And so maybe that's why it appeals to me, dude. I don't know.
But here's the problem with that. We all know that Disney has not shown us yet that they can take us to an interesting planet. They've taken planets that we grew up on and knew and loved and completely changed them into boredom. It's so what you're saying right there does sound interesting. Having to travel through the galaxy and whatnot. Maybe the first season they're hunting down some other squadron. That would be cool if you're pit stopping at planets that are actually of interest, but every single one of them looks the same. So I just don't see it being interesting.
Yeah, the actors are going to have to be pretty. They're going to have to, appeal to us in that way where they can keep it going, man. Because you're right. I mean, who's going to want to watch a bunch of TIE fighters fighting like X-wing fighters all the time? So who knows what they're going to do with that. And then again, after watching Wonder Woman 1984, I don't even want to know what the hell they might do with that, bro.
It's like, so if you're going to do a movie about or a show about pilots, you better be taking notes from Top Gun. You better be taking, seriously, look, some of the best movies harken back to movies that came before them.
Yeah.
And like George Lucas was mega influenced by Kurosawa and old TV serials and this and that. So it's like I've never heard of this director. I honestly whatever happened to Merritt. We got a bunch of women directors who, by the way, if they can do it, then by all means. But why is Sofia Coppola not thrown in the mix?
Yeah, she
can actually direct. She's proven it. So why are we just throwing women names in the mix when I have never heard of these broads? Seriously. And that's no diss to women. I love women. Women can, they can do whatever they want to do. And apparently now they can do it even if they're not good at it, because we live in such a PC society now that, we just got to even things out. So,
We'll see how they end up, Donnie. Like I said, out of all of them that were brought up to me, the Diego Luna one is probably the least appealing to me, man. I really don't know how they can make that storyline so damn good that I'm going to stop what I'm doing on a Friday, Thursday night and watch it. I can't see that happening.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, they can't. And here's why.
Yeah.
The only things that kept us watching Rogue One was the fact that we got to see Tarkin again.
Of course, man. I like that movie. I'm a big fan of that movie. What about you?
I liked it the first time, and then I watched it a second time, and I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
The scenes I liked in it really had nothing to do with the main characters again. When all the main characters died, I didn't feel anything. You know what I mean? It's not like, when Obi-Wan dies, you're like, oh, damn. When Qui-Gon died, you're like, well, shit, they killed Qui-Gon. You know what I mean? You actually feel it when
I'm still pissed about Han's death. They could have made that a little. Really? So I can't even get started on that one, man.
So don't get started on it, because we've already established that the Disney trilogy is not canon here. We don't.
Yeah, I know.
But
awful, man. Still traumatized over it.
Han Solo is still alive. But no, Rogue One just isn't that appealing when you watch it a second time. It's got cool visuals the first time. I really feel like one of the characters I was interested in seeing was Forrest Whitaker's character, Saw Gerrera, because he's a character in the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. They really didn't do much with him. The rest was Darth Vader and Tarkin. When they were all, and they had their their little moment, where they're sitting there waiting to die. I was literally like, they're staring at each other for like 2.5 minutes or something. And they're going to die. It's like, dude, just kill them. Get on with it. Like, let's get on to the end of the movie. I didn't care one iota at all about those characters. You go to episode 3, even there, even characters you didn't know in episode 3, when Order 66 happens, you're like, damn, like this sucks, because what collective they're a part of. They're a part of the Jedi, they're all connected. This Rogue One group, I was really disappointed. Like, I honestly thought that if you wanted to, the idea was great. The idea was great. A movie about the heist to steal the Death Star plans. It leads right into episode 4, right? But to me, it's like you underutilized other characters. You could have used the crew from Rebels and had them be the ones to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's just another case of Dave Filoni being ignored, because he's literally bringing the best content we've seen since the Disney acquisition. So whatever. But yes, no, I'm not watching a DA. Please. And they're going to have to do some serious nostalgic guest appearances on that show for me to even take a second look. You know what I mean?
Who's going to bring Stardust back or what?
Come on, man. Like, now the other one though is Ahsoka. So Ahsoka, she's one of my favorite characters of all time in Star Wars, and I'm really excited to see that show. I just hope they do it justice, because Ahsoka is a character you do not like. Don't mess with Ahsoka. So Dave Filoni needs to be heavily involved with that, if not directing every episode.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that. That's a big character right there. You can't just send just anybody to deal with that, But I mean, that's a huge character.
I was really I like their choice of Rosario Dawson. I think she did good. I'm not a huge fan of hers, but I think she was she had the look for Ahsoka. She's got the acting skill, so she was perfect for it. But yeah, they better do that justice. But we got to keep moving on with the news, because me and Paulie, we can go on these little tangents all the time. So this isn't really big news, but Jon Favreau says that The Mandalorian is leading into the sequel trilogy, which we already kind of knew, but and I'll go into my theory later. I think Dave Filoni had already planned, pre-planned to have the sequel trilogy retcon, and there's certain evidence in Rebels that I can use to prove that. If you guys want to hear about it, let me know. We'll talk about it on another show. I can literally prove it without the shadow of a doubt that Dave Filoni has already retconned the sequel trilogy. So I don't understand. I really felt like The Mandalorian was in the right direction of where we should have gone instead of what we got. So hopefully they do something along the lines of whatever, dude. The sequel trilogy needs to go. Just that ain't Star Wars. But the big news of the day. Okay. So we've been talking about video games on here quite a bit. Mm-hmm. It's one of the news tidbits that I've seen is the whole EA games. Their deal with the Star Wars IP is now up. It's over. However, they're going to continue with the games that they've already started working on. So EA, after that, they may or may not be involved, but apparently Lucas Games or Lucasfilm Games is whatever they're calling. I don't know why they didn't just keep the LucasArts handle. They're going off in their own different direction. And they're remaking a classic, probably one of the greatest Star Wars video games ever. And it is this one here, Knights of the Old Republic. Paulie, how do you feel about that?
You look, okay, going back to LucasArts, before that Star Wars was a big player at video games. I mean, they were constantly releasing I don't want to say great games, but some of them were solid, and they had a nice run going in there. And then I remember it's either Tim Ward or Jim Ward. He became president of LucasArts, and basically shelved 25 projects that were going to be made. And it's like, I mean, some of these names will blow you away, man. This is what they had. They had a Vader game coming out. They had the Dark Jedi. They had Darth Maul, a Han Solo game. You name it, man. There was just Scum and something. I can't even see it. Rogue Jedi. All these badass games that were coming out, and this guy shelved them all. So now we're at the point now where they're thinking, okay, maybe we need to start remaking some of these. Some of them were great ideas, but getting to the Old Republic, though, you know, I really just, I hope, I know they're going to do a great job. I just feel it. It's too big of a game just to half-ass. But the one thing I hope they improve is I'm not a big, the way the game plays has to be a little different for me. I like let's say Battlefront, the way the characters are able to move in those games. I wish they could do that with Old Republic, but yet at the same time keep that whole other side of it together. That's what made it great, man. Those conversations and
Did you ever play this one?
Yes.
Okay, so The Force Unleashed, and I always said this because you're right. I want to speak on that point. I'm actually playing Knights of the Old Republic. I went back to it after years, uploaded it in my little gaming PC, and I started playing it. And the gameplay, the actual gameplay of it, like when you're fighting, you're literally selecting little things in like a cube that you want to do, and then you wait for them to do it. Now, I'm not a big fan of that. I liked in The Force Unleashed how you're hitting buttons and whooping ass in whichever way you choose to whoop some ass.
Yes.
It was beautifully done. Now, what I don't want to take out of it, though, I love the RPG side of it, where you're choosing what you want to say.
Yeah, I want them to keep that, Donnie. That's a huge part of why that game is so great, man. The RPG stuff is just, it's amazing.
And it's doable. It's not, you know, a lot of people can sit here and say like, oh, well, it's not, you can't do it because it's an RPG. Yes, you can. I mean, they have literally created how many games that you could just with so much, like with such a vast gameplay system. You can't tell me that you can't have a decent fighting gameplay system with the format of Knights of the Old Republic as far as story goes. So they can do it. My biggest fear is this. BioWare is not involved in it. BioWare is the one that did Knights of the Old Republic, the Old Republic 2, and the Old Republic Online, which I play, but I'm just going to throw it out there. The graphics suck in that game. Like, I don't want to play a Star Wars game that looks like a comic book. It's like, come on, dude. But, you know, too many games are trying to copy the World of Warcraft, and I think what people need to realize is not all of us are into elves and come on. Like, I don't care about World of Warcraft. I will never play World of Warcraft. It is a stupid game. Sorry if you play it, but going out and killing a bunch of pigs to get a piece of armor, not for me, dude. Give me some story any day. But I will say the Old Republic, as far as the online play, I mean, it's literally when you're playing the story, it's like playing your own Star Wars movie. And then the fact that you're able to play with like a friend online and he's able to chime into your conversations and change the outcome just based on what he says, that's dope. They need to keep up with that. But BioWare not being involved in Knights of the Old Republic, that's tough for me. And remaking it in general, I don't like that idea because the story of the first game was so dope.
Oh, the Malik and Revan and that whole story. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah,
the twist where when you find out who your character is. Yeah. Spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't played Knights of the Old Republic and you want to play it, I'm going to spoil the game right here. So just click off right now. So the big twist in that game was, and let me kind of preface it with this. When I was playing that game, again, spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, Knights of the Old Republic, not Republican. When I was playing that game, I got in some trouble. I was basically on house arrest, and I locked myself in my room, just, blowing weed for like a week straight, eating pizza rolls and playing that game. And I only would break to eat, burn a bowl, and go to sleep. And I would only sleep for a couple hours. This is back when my smoking days or whatever. I was young, but I literally lost myself in that game. I literally forgot who I was because I became that main character. That was what was so genius about that game. And when that big reveal happens, spoiler alert, again, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't want to know the big twist in that game, turn us off. And some people did. When you find out that you are Revan, bro, I literally in my chair, and I was like, what? I was like heartbroken by it. I'm like, are you serious? I'm a Sith Lord? I thought this, you know what I mean? So it really changed the way I played the rest of the game too.
Yeah, but honestly, I loved it because he's always been one of my favorites. I've always been a huge Sith guy. And just to be able to see them and I mean, like I said, even as a little kid, you read these books and then to finally be able to play these characters. But what I'm getting at now, and I'm hoping they just knock, they just knock it out of the damn park is these worlds. And what I would like to is I like this game I was playing. It's called the Ghost of Tsushima. Lots of dialogue, and then the map would come up, and you would be able to transport to all of them. Wouldn't it be something if they give you the option where you need to go to another planet, but yet they keep you like the scene we always see when we're going into hyperspeed or whatever, hyperspace. I mean, that'd be neat to be able to put that in the game and implement it, and then you just next thing you know, you're at the next planet. I hope they start changing things up like that and make and then the worlds too. I want to see what kind of environments they put us in as well.
So I agree and disagree a little bit. Now, when you're doing a Star Wars RPG, I haven't played the game you're talking about, but instant travel, I don't know how I feel about that because part of the fun in Knights of the Old Republic was getting on your ship, going to the map, picking the planet, and then you see the little monologue or the montage where you're going to, into hyperspace and whatnot, leaving the planet. I really felt like the planets in the original Knights of the Old Republic were done beautifully. Tatooine, Manan, Korriban, Kashyyyk, and Leon, which is the Rakata planet, the Lost planet. Totally different environments on all of them. If I think Korriban, I think of the vision we got in Knights of the Old Republic. If I think of Kashyyyk, don't get me wrong, I liked what they did in episode 3, kind of a Thailand type look to it. But I don't want the coast. I want that deep forest, trees the size of skyscrapers, go down into the Shadowlands and you don't even get sunlight down there because the trees, just box it out. That's what I love.
It's like an Ewok environment.
Yeah, on
the trees and stuff like that. Are you talking about the Wookiees?
Yeah, on steroids though. The Ewoks, it was like the sequoias and the redwoods in California, which was all good.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But like massive trees, right?
Yeah, but bigger than that. Like if you look in Knights of the Old Republic, they were like the size of skyscrapers. Like you have trees the size of the World Trade Center, and that's sick because they had whole cities up in the trees. It was dope. But my biggest fear is this: don't retcon the story we already know just to make your own, because Disney has a tendency to do that. They go back, oh, this isn't canon, so we're going to change this. It's like, yeah, nobody wants you to do that though. You're doing that because it's easy for you. Why don't you take what was already given to you and add to it? But, we got a bitch like Kathleen Kennedy running the show up there. And yeah, I said it. She's a bitch. I hope she watches this too. We're not famous yet, but if she does see this go viral, I will stand by it. Come on here. I will put her on the screen and I will tell her to her face, what you did was wrong. What you did to George Lucas was you put a knife in his back. Straight up. So Kathleen Kennedy, you know how I feel about you. Get out. If I were George Lucas, you would have been fired before you got hired. I don't trust people with a face like yours. I've had bosses like you before, and when I was younger and still worked for people. And guess what? Nobody ever liked them. Nobody likes you, Kathleen Kennedy. Nobody. Oh, you worked on Jurassic Park. What'd you do? Get Steven Spielberg his coffee? Get the fuck out of here. Come on. Excuse my language, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, but
getting all hyped up.
Dude, I can't stand her. And this is my fear about Knights of the Old Republic. Don't change the story we already know and love.
Well, you know what? I was just reading there's a huge possibility that might happen from what I read today.
Then I won't play it. But here's the other thing though, too. It's an attachment basically to this. It's news. They're also taking the first two games and remaking them for the newer consoles. So they're putting them on a different platform. They're like up the graphics. So I'm hoping that is basically, if they're making a new Knights of the Old Republic, they're continuing off of that story. It's Knights of the Old Republic 3. Mm-hmm. What they should do. Because, to be honest, though, I wasn't a fan of the story in the second one. The gameplay was a little better, but I wasn't a huge fan of the story in the second one.
I felt they rushed that one too much, I think. Do you think?
They did. Same thing with the Force Unleashed 2. It was just rushed.
Yeah.
You beat the game in 4 hours. But this one, it had more features. You could, the clothing or whatever, the gear was better. You could customize your lightsaber better. It was better gameplay. The story was nowhere near up to par. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We know the story of Revan and Paulie and me were just talking about this. If you really look at the history of Revan and you look at the history of the Sith, Darth Bane really got most of what he believed in and how he restructured the Sith from Darth Revan. Mm-hmm. If you read the Bane novels, when he goes to Leon, which is the last planet in Knights of the Old Republic where the temple's at, mm-hmm. he finds a holocron from Revan, and that's where he gets the idea of the rule of two. Yeah. So Revan started this gangster shit. Is this the mother thanks he gets? Better not be. That's all I'm saying.
But I know, but getting there were so many. I mean, Revan's always ranked number one. People love his story, the way he fluctuated from once being a good Jedi, then being bad, then losing his memory, and then coming up with these memories who come back to him. The whole story is just. I mean, he's a powerful guy, really powerful. And then you had, and then Bane as well. Bane had a run there, but Darth Malgus, to me, was one of. I mean, he was human. But he really, man, that's a very interesting character. We could go on and on about these Sith, bro. We're going to have to do a show just about those. And who are the most powerful? Maybe a top 10 or something, Donnie. That's something I'm dying to talk about, man. And hopefully they put these guys on the big screen.
The next episode is episode 3. Might as well be Revenge of the Sith. We'll have a whole episode. In which I will do a completely different intro for the show because it'll be the dark side intro. But I agree.
So you really like you like the Malik and the Revan story? You're into that? Huh?
I love it. Absolutely love it. I love what they did with the Revan novel as well. It was one of those things where it's like you didn't want it to end, and then when it ended, you didn't know it was ending. I was literally I was listening to it on audiobook because I was literally on the road all the time for work. I would probably work 3 hours a day and be on the road for 10 of them. You know what I mean? Because I was just traveling to each destination. So I would literally just plow through Star Wars books on Audible, and Revan was one of them. And yeah,
so today I started busting up. So Donnie and I are on the phone and we're talking about, you know, Darth Bane and what character or what actor would be a really good Darth Bane. And Donnie comes out with Vin Diesel. And so today I was reading and Darth Bane's picture pops up and the exact head and everything. I said, damn, Donnie, God, man, you hit this right on the head, man. You look exactly like Darth freaking Bane, bro. I started busting up laughing. I was like, damn, how did he get that one? The wrinkles on the head, everything, man. It's all Fast and Furious to the max, bro.
He's like, I use my force powers a quarter mile at a time.
With his Corona, he's gonna be Darth Bane holding a Corona, bro.
Right. You know, it's funny though, because I initially, like, when I was reading the book, I didn't choose him. It just his description and the way they were saying his voice was and everything. Like, it's just, he kept popping into my head. So I was just like, you know what? That's who it is then. Because what I do is when I read these novels, I can't help but put faces to the names. And it usually always goes into actors because Star Wars is movie based, right? Yeah. So, and then the other one was, you know, when you read the end of the first novel and they explain Zana to you, I couldn't get Hayden Panettiere out of my head when she was in Remember Titans, because it just feisty little girl with blonde curly hair. It was just like Panettiere. And then, you know, she got older and she played in that show Heroes. And I'm like, yeah, she could pull off Zana probably. You know, and
you're right.
When you're thinking Vin Diesel, think Pitch Black as opposed to Triple X and Fast and the Furious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, please do. Please do.
But I didn't choose that. But, you know, everybody's going to pick some generic, you know, actor, like the dude from the Transporter movies and all that. It's whatever. If I challenge you to read the Bane novels and tell me you can't picture Vin Diesel the way they're explaining him, it's hard not to do.
It's hard not to. When I saw the damn picture, I said, geez, oh, man, it blew me away. I started busting up out loud, man. That was something. You know, the other thing too, Donnie, is when it comes to casting, you know, I was talking to my buddy the other day and he goes, you know what? I've never seen a Mexican character on Star Wars. And I said, well, you know, we had Jimmy Smits, but he's not Mexican. He's like, yeah, I don't know what, Puerto Rican or something. I said, so I go, you know what? You're right about that, man. Give us a small part. I don't give a damn if it's a guy working on the Millennium Falcon or some guy cleaning the droid. I don't give a shit. Give us a damn character in there, man. And I'm all for it. I am the first to say, dude, I would love to be an extra in a movie like that. Could you imagine? I gotta like waving at the camera.
I gotta correct you though. Jimmy Smits is Mexican. He's actually from the Mission District in San Francisco.
Yeah, you know, I thought he was, for some reason, I thought he was of Dominican descent.
He might be a half breed. I don't know, but I know that he did a movie kind of celebrating his Mexican heritage.
Yeah,
in his neighborhood in San Francisco. If you don't know about the Mission District, that is predominantly Mexican.
It's carne asada. It's the home of the carne asada burrito right there.
Oh man, don't get me started.
I'll get it. I'll take a Griense right now and just I'll shove that thing in my mouth, bro.
Oh, they ain't ready for that, man. Like,
yeah, they're not ready for that. We're gonna have to bring one of those on one of these days.
We're gonna see if they can promote us. You know they're making enough money, man. You know, you remember when there was like 4 locations in Gilroy alone, and then they were like right around the corner from each other. It was like so unnecessary, but they were getting that busy, man. So yeah, we'll get sponsored by them. But yeah, no, I think a Mexican character in Star Wars would be dope. A smuggler, a Jedi, whatever you want.
Yeah, like a smuggler. And Diego Luna doesn't count. Actually, you know what, dude? I think he is Mexican. I'm going to take that back. Diego Luna is Mexican. But then again, he kind of sucks, man.
His character.
That was kind of a shitty character.
Yeah, his character's boring. We don't care about him. We don't really care about any of those guys. Like, seriously, the most emotional moment is when the droid dies, and that's sad. But To harken back what you were saying though, like, yeah, I remember that list of, the games you were listing there.
There's like 25 of them.
Yeah, if you want, like, the Han Solo one's kind of, the Darth Maul one, of course, but the Han Solo one's really caught my ear because you could have. I like the Solo movie. Okay, I think it's, and I've actually watched it quite a few times, and I think it was done so well. Other than the fact that they changed the way he got his name and that he was smuggling gasoline instead of spice, but we won't talk about Disney's inadequacies right now. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about the good things about that movie. Take Han Solo out of it because I kind of had to, because I don't like seeing somebody else play Han Solo. You know what I mean? I had to give it a chance that way, and it's a good smuggler underworld, and I'm very fascinated by the smugglers and the bounty hunters of Star Wars. I think they don't get enough attention. I think you could do an entire series of somebody working for Jabba the Hutt and, committing crimes and dealing death sticks. And you get, Sopranos meets Star Wars, and it would be epic. But to do a Han Solo backstory, I think video games were the way to go.
Oh, can you imagine a whole interactive world where Han and Chewie and whatever partner you want to add into the mix, they're out doing their, they're young, you base it on, them when they were younger and smuggling, and man, and yeah, it's kind of like a Grand Theft Auto environment type thing. How badass would that be?
That's the way to go, dude. And then think about it. You start the game out obviously with nothing. You got to learn how to play sabacc in the game, clearly, because how are you going to win the Millennium Falcon if you don't? You know what I mean? Take them through that process. The beginning of the game could literally be you, because the Han Solo backstory has always been that he joined the Imperial Navy to get off of Corellia, and the reason he got kicked out was because he rescued a bunch of Wookiees from slavery. And Chewbacca was one of them. And that's how him and Chewbacca became tight. So if you start the story out like that, which they kind of did in Solo, but they spaced it out a little bit. Like they had it so that Lando's droid did the Wookiee freeing and it was just him and Chewie that escaped together, whatever. But if you did that in a game, and over a series of games, and like you said, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption style, only not on just one map. You got a bunch of different planets you're going to.
Yeah.
You could really stretch that over a few games and get a full Han Solo backstory. So if anybody at Lucasfilm ever listens to this, me and Paulie got great ideas, and we will take a salary of about $150K to start out a piece. So you're getting us for cheap. That's real compared to the Disney budget, and we will fix every Star Wars problem you have. Fans will love it, and there will not be.
I'll even cut my salary just for the opportunity to be in the background cleaning a droid or doing something like that. I'm down for that, man.
I want full control because that bitch Kathleen Kennedy doesn't know what she's doing. So,
you could even play in a game like that. You could even play as Chewie. Maybe different characters, but the whole story about them and the way they came up and became the smugglers that they were, bro. That's just awesome, man. Imagine sitting there in the Falcon playing with Chewie, bro, playing his chess game.
The fun part about it too would be like, in Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead, you're doing things like, you're upgrading your horse or your car and all this. Imagine being able to add stuff to the Millennium Falcon. Fixing it while you're in hyperspace, crawling down in those little crawl spaces and asking for hydro spanners and whatnot. I mean, that would just be epic. And then pulling jobs, running from the Empire, that would be sick. And then you can do the final game leading up into the movies.
A whole level could be on how Chewie got his crossbow.
Well, not really, because the crossbow is kind of common to Wookiees.
I know, but I'm saying, maybe because when let's say he saved his life, he didn't have his crossbow, he needed to get it back. They go search for it, they find it, he finds it. I mean, you could do so many different things with it,
Yeah, you could stretch the story out so far, and run into so many characters, different cities and planets and whatnot. You could do a lot with it. And they did it in the Old Republic Online. I mean, I played the Smuggler, and that was my absolute favorite class to play was Smuggler, because it just felt like it felt like being in your own Star Wars movie.
Yeah, you could even have Han hook up with like alien women. You know, you could do a lot. Granted, they know they wouldn't because they got to make it, you know, for kids as well. But man, that'd be badass, dude. Yeah,
but I mean, you know, I don't like when they do Star Wars games that are too focused on kids, because you got to have some Twi'leks in there, on tables, and but there's so much you can do with it. I mean, and I really think video games are the way to go to tell these backstories of characters that have, you know, already aged, and you can't really put them in movies anymore, because there's no sense in, I'm sorry, as good as Solo was, I don't want to see Alden Ehrenreich playing Han Solo. He's just not Han Solo to me. It's Harrison Ford every single time. You know what I mean? I think, what's his name? Childish Gambino did a decent Lando.
Yeah, he was good. He was really good.
Any of their performances, but Billy D is always Lando to me. Period. You know what I mean? It's not the same as Alec Guinness versus Ewan McGregor, because Alec Guinness was already old. You know what I mean? It's like, and by that time, even in the generation of the 70s, I mean, kids were too young to remember Alec Guinness in his younger days and all those old noir films and English films, war films, and all that. But we knew Han Solo. We already had the character when he was young. So the way to go, I think, is video games with that. And then you can just kind of, and that would be a great way to build on new characters, introduce new characters, and then give them their little spin-off shows and whatnot. You know what I mean?
Well, but they could, you know, imagine if there was a video game or even a show, like I said, for guys like me that are fanatics when it comes to Empire, and that crew of of bounty hunters that they had there. You know, I would want to know Dengar's story, dude, or Bosk, or any of these other guys. Those are badass characters. I know in some of the cartoons they've featured a few of those characters, but to be able to play it on a video game or to see it in a movie, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm hoping they stop messing around with this Finn and Rey kind of crap and start getting real serious and making movies that appeal to us, bro. Because I don't know how many more of those other Disney movies I can handle. Just a waste of time, man.
It is. It really is. And that's kind of like, that was kind of the topic I wanted to go into, is what we would like to see in a movie. And we already kind of covered it. It's like, you know, introduce us to the right characters and we'll be interested. Don't force characters down our throats that nobody cares about, because I don't really think Disney has come up with a new character that everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm feeling, except for the Grogu, the child. And do not call him Baby Yoda when you were on this show, because we will reach through the screen.
I'll go off.
But yeah, that's, I mean, and then, yeah, we can go on for days about this, but Paulie did have a good idea. We're going to cover everything Sith in the next episode. And we're going to work on it. Again, this show is not where we want it to be yet. Right now, we're just kind of in the beta stages of it. We're just talking. We got a lot of good ideas coming up. We're just trying to figure out how to execute them properly. We're going to be coming out with like shorter videos for YouTube that aren't live streamed. We want to do something different. We don't want to be the same as every other Star Wars podcast out there, which MIDICHLORIAN Mafia is the podcast. Galactic Basics is the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because we won't be doing this Facebook stuff all the time. But Paulie, you got anything you want to close out with?
No, just like I said, man, I can't wait till we start talking. There's so many great Sith stories out there that a lot of people don't know, and I got a lot of friends tuning in next week, so they're going to be chiming in as well. So I can't wait, man. We're getting this ball rolling on this, but that's a great topic to talk about right there, because you can't go wrong. There's so many badass characters to that, you know, and so I cannot wait to talk about them.
Yeah, and you know what we'll do, Paulie? I need you to come up with, and whoever's watching, and by the way, thank you guys for tuning in. I see there's been a few people that have kind of stayed with us throughout this thing.
My little green friend.
Exactly. So all you guys, Paulie, everybody, we're gonna go down the list of Sith Lords, the greatest Sith Lords of all time. And what I want everybody to do, including you, Paulie, is if they made a movie about him, cast that Sith Lord.
Yes.
If you want extra credit, maybe cast some of the other characters in the novel or whatever that they came out with, and like Bastila or whoever. And that's what we'll do the next episode. We're gonna rank our top 5 Sith of all time, starting at 5, going down to 1. I already know who my number 1 is, but
I got it's a toss up for me. Let's just say one of them was so powerful that he could suck the force life out of anything, any being, any planet. It was badass.
That could be, yeah. Well, I'm not gonna. Okay, I know.
We'll bring it up, but just one of them that I love, and obviously this guy right here. Henceforth, you shall be known as Darth Vader.
Yeah. Man, I'll give you that guy's. That's the chosen one of the Sith right there. Let me tell you.
You think so? We'll talk about that, man, because I'm kind of torn on that character. He was privileged, but there's a whole story to that, man. But yeah, I can't wait to talk about him.
That's what makes him so evil, though, man. I love it. But yo,
yeah, you got it, man.
Thank you guys for joining in. This has been fun. We're gonna improve this thing. Just stay with us. I'm telling you. Like I said, we're still in the beta stages of this. This thing's going to get better. I appreciate everybody that followed today and watched today. We got a few likes. Cool. Next time, chime in on the comments, man. Give us more to talk about. This show will run longer if you give us more shit to talk about every single time. So with that said, this is the Galactic Basics channel. We are the MIDICHLORIAN Mafia. And that's AKA the Womp Rat Pack. And
we're out.
And we're out. Peace.